Hi, Schlockmeister fans. Continuing with the theme of DVD-R goodness, or perhaps badness. I don't know. We'll find out. This thing's called Scared Stiff. Let's watch. As you can see, our movie starts in Charlesburg, 1857. Southern town.
My name is George Masterson, and those of you that know me know that I carry only the very finest of products. What?
It's a slave auction.
In your house, sir. They hold up in your own house.
That's George Masterson.
Curse your house and all that is Masterson.
So the slaves in his own house are cursing the property, and suddenly we fast forward to the other side of the world. And these people are chanting the same stuff. That's Masterson's wife.
Take this, Elizabeth. It will protect you.
Apparently Mrs. Masterson's not as mean as the old husband. David and Kate moving into their new house.
I tell you, if I wasn't in the middle of that video, I'd move in right now.
Andrew Stevens, Mary Page Keller.
Your friends in LA aren't going to believe this.
He's a psychiatrist, she's a pop singer.
Doctor? It's pretty boring.
My friends, good riddance.
He is her former psychiatrist.
Besides, you're not just a doctor. You're my doctor.
This is where David works.
I was expecting.
Any special
With a bunch of crazies.
How's she seem?
Well, she's very active. She's refused breakfast, and she hasn't stopped singing in the last 8 hours.
Give her 15 mils of Librium every 4 hours.
PRN for sleep?
Oh, Dalmate.
Not everybody wants them as a couple, though.
And she's moving in tomorrow. Man, she hasn't been my patient for almost a year now.
She's been through a lot. It takes a long time to get over something like that.
She's as healthy as either one of us. She's doing great. She's working again. She's a good mother.
Okay. I just want to make sure you know what you're doing.
This is Kate's son, Jason. He's moving in with them, too. And he finds something. A key. An old-looking key. That attic room we saw at the beginning was wallpapered over, but some pigeons were up there, and Andrew Stevens found his way up there too, following the noise. This is obviously where the slave driver shot his slave at the beginning of the movie. While David's up there, he finds a lot of relics. Elizabeth Masterson. He also finds an old trunk. But it's locked. Geez, I wonder what will open that. Meanwhile, Kate is shooting a music video.
What is it? I don't know. It's in my throat.
Takes a break.
Let's have a look.
He's having bad dreams, too. Kate took a picture of Jason and David together. It's a little weird.
George Masterson.
While Kate's wandering around one night, it seems that she's suddenly been transported back to 1857. On top of that, Jason's toys are coming to life on their own. David gets a hold of the key, and while workmen outside on the ladder at the same time, has a accident. Watch the actor's eyes. We catch David and Caden in an intimate moment. But while they're making out in the shower, no nudity here, he changes into Masterson. That's Whitcomb, the cop. Remember Porterhouse from Caddyshack?
Look, Doc, there's nothing that I can do with this. But if you want, I have a good friend over at the Historical Society. Now, maybe she can make something out of it. Why are you so interested anyway?
Like I said, professional curiosity.
Again, more dreams or whatever's going on. You see images from the past. And David begins to freak out at home.
Where are you? Huh? Huh? There's one now! Come on, there's more. Where are they? Where are the ghosts, Kate? There's one now! Look, there's another one!
David, stop it.
Jason hears David and his mom arguing when he goes to check on them. That's a little creepy. Remember the two old bodies found in the trunk?
That I spoke to my friend over at the Historical Society, and I got that information that he wanted about this guy, Masterson. Seems he wasn't a very nice fella. Those old bones from your attic turned out to be his wife and kid.
I was playing Skybox.
Jason's computer gets a little funky. That looks like that stone. Kate wants to leave with Jason.
Oh, David, please, no!
Jason, stop it! Stop it, Jason!
And David's not having that.
She's okay, Jason. She's okay.
The stone broke, which is why Elizabeth died and her child. And I've got to find the other half of that stone before it's too late.
Whoa, honey, slow down.
Look, can you hold on?
David's not right at work either.
I think. Can you hold on, please?
Appears as if he's become possessed. Oh yeah, look at his eyes. He's possessed. Meanwhile, Whitcomb, the cop, not sure why his car blew up, but it blew up. So they're trying to leave.
Let us go, David.
Don't you think we ought to talk about it? Hey, what in the world are you doing with that knife?
Don't come any closer, David. Just let us go.
Come on, Katie, don't be ridiculous.
Of course, he's not going to let them go quietly. But before they can even get downstairs, David gets up. he's in full monster mode now. And the chase is on. Next thing you know, their entire house turns into like a row of tunnels with weird doors. This one leads back to the mental health unit. That's interesting.
You know you're not supposed to do that.
Another room leads to Whitcomb, the cop. And now she's back in 1857 Charlesburg again. And she ends up back in Masterson's home.
Please let us forget our differences.
And she found the other half of the stone. And somehow the slaves in 1857 1857 Ivory Coast are somehow involved with Masterson turning into a preacher here.
Bring the stone!
Jason brings down his half of the stone. Figured this one out, but the slaves in the non-slaves on the Ivory Coast are tossing their spears and somehow hitting him in his home in Charlesburg. Them stones are powerful, I guess. It's still a matter of David, though. I guess that's the end of David. Our last scene in the movie shows a catatonic Kate getting a kiss from Jason as he leaves her in the mental ward. But as he's leaving, he runs into a doctor that looks vaguely familiar to us. Oh, look, it's George Masterson. All right, let's talk about this movie, Scared Stiff, starring Andrew Stevens and Mary Page Keller. Andrew Stevens done a lot of B movies in his career, going back to even Massacre at Central High in the 70s. He did a lot of titty movies, or I should say erotic thrillers, in the 80s and the early 90s as well. And he also did this movie, Scared Stiff. Mary Page Keller was not really known at the time. However, she did some soap opera work, did a lot of TV work as well. This is a movie that came out, I think, in 1987. I think it played in the theaters. Hasn't been released on DVD yet, at least not in this country. I just found out today, although it was actually released in Spain under an alternate title on DVDs. Probably not the best quality, but whatever, right? This is a DVD-R of it here. So anyway, the movie itself starts out in 1857 in Charlesburg. The back of the box here says Charleston, but that ain't right. Charlesburg, wherever that is, during the slave times. This horrible master named Masterson gets a curse put on him by some slaves here. Fast forward 130 years later, and Andrew Stevens is moving to this house with his girlfriend, Mary Page Keller, who he used to be a psychiatrist for. And they move into this house, and there's still a curse there, and some weird things start happening. At one point, Andrew Stevens becomes possessed, and there's this stone. Boy, this movie kind of goes all over the place. It's kind of like a haunted house movie at first, with some possession stuff thrown in, but then it gets weird. The last 15 minutes of the movie are weird. There's all kinds of weird effects and just strange creatures popping up. Ultimately, Andrew Stevens is killed when they put this stone together. They find two pieces of the stone, they put it together, and it zaps him dead, thanks to her and her son. Then it looks like she's fine, but then at the end we find out that she's been institutionalized in the same institution where Andrew Stevens used to work. And as the boy is leaving after he kisses his mom goodbye, he runs into this doctor, and it's Dr. George Masterson, the same name, George Masterson, as the slave owner from 130 years earlier who died. And I don't know, this movie's kind of weird. It's all over the place, but that's your film, right? So anyway, it's called Scared Stiff. There's no place left to hide. Not a great movie by any means. I don't know what exactly they were trying to do. They were just everywhere. Could have used some nude scenes thrown in here. Mary Page Keller is decent looking enough, but we don't get the luxury of that. No nudity whatsoever. There's a couple of gore scenes. Not much more to speak of in this movie, but anyway, I'm sure you can watch this movie somewhere. It's probably streaming somewhere. Released only on VHS in this country, DVD in Spain under an alternate title. Scared Stiff. Let me know what you think about it if you've seen this thing, or if you haven't seen it, find it, watch it, and let me know. Leave some comments down below. Bye.